it's an edge of your seat thriller, isn't it?
Well, I hope it is. If I've done my job, it is. Um, I think we pulled it off. I think we've got an effective, very scary, terrifying movie here.
Do you enjoy the horror genre?
I do, with certain reservations. I, uh, I do enjoy the genre, but it's a genre I have little experience with because mostly I'm known as a Western guy. You
Right.
know, I've done six feature films now. I'm about to do my seventh, and I've directed all of them. I wrote three out of those, and but they've basically all been westerns up to this point.
Hmm.
Sort of not by design, but that's just the way it happened. And I love westerns. It is my favorite genre, as you no doubt can tell from behind me and Tomahawk and what have you. But I got this script. My partner, Alexander Nevsky,
Hmm.
who was in Gunfight at Rio Bravo with me, uh, he came to me after we had completed that production. He came to me and he said, would you be interested in directing a horror film?
Hmm.
And I said, yeah, I would be, but with certain reservations. I don't want to rehash zombies and all of that stuff. I mean, there's nothing more, even though I played a zombie in a film some years ago, but I just felt like there was nothing more that I could add to that. So I said, but what, and he goes, no, it's a supernatural, paranormal with a dose of Satanism thrown in. And I said, okay, that's a lot going on. So I read the script, and the script was by Craig Hammond, who is a great writer, and he's written the last three films that I have made with Alexander. And I read the script, and it was all there, and I said, let's do it. And he had said, well, can you sort of do an homage to Dario Argento in this? I said, yes, I can.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I hope that you will see that there are elements of that. And plus, we have the great Eileen Dietz
Mm-hmm.
is one of the leads in it, and of course, she played Pazuzu in Friedkin's The Exorcist, the original,
Yeah.
and it was great to sort of channel that uh, on the set. So it's a creepy tale of a hospice nurse that goes to a remote location to just do a quick overnight uh, caregiving job for a patient. And what happens is, well, you'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
The problems ensue, as we like to say.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of strange little hints that everything is not right in this
Yeah.
house.
Yeah, it's really great at not telling us what's going to happen, but I love the clues um, that that take place.
Well, if you look at the little things like in the like our art direction, like if you look at Lillian, that's the name of the elderly lady that young Juliet, played by the great Natalie Denise Spurl, and boy does she knock it out of the park in this. This is her best performance I think I've ever seen, and she's a great actress, and she's really good. But anyway, there's a scene with them in the kitchen,
Yeah.
and of Lillian's house, but it's a little off because you look at these items that are in the kitchen, and they're not really familiar items or items that are of this era, you know? And so you start noticing that things are just slightly
We've
not
got
right.
we've got Alexander coming in. So
Oh, great.
yeah, hopefully he can hear us. Welcome to the party.
Thank you very much. Let me just adjust it a little.
There you go. I was just asking Joe about the difference between directing a horror film and directing a Western, although some of the techniques have to be the same, like your camera, your shadows, your light, using that as kind of a subtext for what's going on.
Well, there's also a lot of differences too, because when I do a Western, I do very widescreen, I do vistas, and I do a lot of saturated colors, and I have a lot of earth tones. And you're right about, and that's equally as important in a horror film. But like in this, I didn't use a humongous, 2:3:5 to 1 cinemascope image. I cut it down to a very claustrophobic 16:9 to more replicate the classic horror experience. And we did all of our shoots basically at night. I don't think we even had a day shoot, did we, Alexander? Maybe in the late afternoon.
Maybe a couple of days, Joe, later when you shot Natalie in
Oh,
a car.
that's true. The driving sequences we did, but
yes, you and Eric Roberts and all of that sequences. Yes,
but the body of the film is basically night, and we used that to effect. And we had a great we had one of the best DPs in the business, Sam Wilkerson, and his crew lit this thing so dramatically. And you'll see it. It's there because there's these extreme lights that come in through the windows, for instance, or come in through a flash of a door opening or something like that. So you'll see the play with light and dark in this. And
Alexander, where did the idea spring from?
Patrick, first of all, thank you very much for supporting our film.
Thank you.
First of all, thank you, because, we're independent filmmakers, and it's, it's really important to have your support. So, and as you can see, behind Joe there are Western posters, right? It's his movies, great movie. He did Incident at Guild Reach. It's Clint Eastwood movies. Behind me, my action posters, action movies, which I did before, right? I mean, in Showdown in Manila, Treasure Raiders, Black Rose. But this movie, yes, it was our first ever horror film. And I always loved the genre, Patrick. And I mean, of course, I loved like action horror, like Predator, right, with Arnold, because it's a horror in a way. It's a horror, and of course, I like Carpenter's movies, original, The Thing, and all of that. But pandemic happened. We all basically stayed in our homes. We didn't have anything to do. Of course, I bought all the dumbbells and barbells, and I created like a huge gym in one of the rooms and all of that. But I thought it was a good time just to forget about negativity a little bit and try something new. And that was the time when Craig Hammond, great writer Craig Hammond, and me, we basically got that idea about a horror film, which actually, starts not really as a horror. You don't know what is it. Maybe, maybe it's just maybe it's a serial killer movie. Maybe someone is, someone is trying to freak this girl out. And we don't know if it's a monster, or if it's a demon, or it's some guy over there, or maybe it's all in her mind. So when we got that idea, Craig was excited, and he finished the script, I think, before the end of 2020, and pandemic finished. And me and Joe made our first Western, and it was completely Joe's achievement, because, I mean, look at me. I mean, bodybuilder in the Wild West. And you definitely, if you didn't see it, you should check it out. It's everywhere. Shout Studios released it. Gunfight at Rio Bravo, our first Western. Amazing movie because of Joe. He kind of married two genres, and a Western. But when we were done with it, I said, Joe, I have a different idea for you. And for me, working with Joe, it was a great experience. I wanted to work with him more. And that's when I proposed to him Night of the Caregiver. And he probably already told it. He already told you today. But his first reaction was like, Alexander, I love horror genre, but I hate zombies. So
we were just talking about this before you came on.
Exactly. Yes, if it's a zombie movie, just forget about it. No. But I said, no, Joe, there's no zombies. And in my opinion, it's something like an homage to William Friedkin, Dario Argento, this kind of horror films. And that's where I got him. You know, with my broken English language, she said, Friedkin, Argento. Perfect, let's do it. And you watched the movie, right? You saw the movie.
Yes, yeah. I look at this almost like a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah. Well,
Exactly.
that's
Yes.
you know what, that's huge praise indeed, because Rod Serling was one of my heroes as far as especially being a writer.
Mhm.
I mean, Rod Serling was the greatest, and yeah,
Really, and he hit a lot of the human condition in
oh yeah,
what he's doing, and you know, this is a microcosm for humanity too. I mean, I just love the exchanges. It's the dialogue in this is just amazingly done too. I mean, but you're backing it up by some great acting, and I think that's a huge blessing to a director, Joe, is that you can allow your actors that kind of freedom to even go off script a little bit and give you a better performance.
well, it was easy to do it with this group because Natalie and Eileen struck up a great camaraderie during the shoot, and they had little inside jokes and little funny things they were sharing with each other, and some of it is in the behind the scenes footage if we ever release that, but they had a great rapport, and they both respected each other. And of course, you know, Eileen has been achieved this legendary status, and as I said, you know, Natalie is such a great talent. I can't say enough about her, but in this film in particular, she is really great. She's always great, but in this film, she was really great. And you know, we had Eric Roberts.
Yeah, and I've as I was going to say, I've known Eric Roberts for 40 years. We met on Runaway Train.
Oh, okay.
So he and you know his family and you know his sister and all, we've known each other.
I was just talking about this earlier this morning. I never know. Sometimes you never know what to expect, especially with an actor that you have never worked with. But when you get to the status of somebody like an Eric Roberts, and I was the only one that had scenes with him, you know, there are basically 2 scenes, and I'm in both with him, you know, and I never get nervous ever about just about anything. But that day, I got to the location early in the morning. I'm pacing up and down, and getting everybody set and settled, and I was like, "What am I going to do? What am I going to do?" You know. And I knew my lines, and I thought I had it, and I did. And Eric comes walking up the steps with his wife, and he goes, "You must be Joe." And it was absolutely such a calming effect. You were there, Alexander, you remember.
Yes.
And you know, I thought, oh my God, acting with Eric Roberts. And he was so smooth, focused, kind, respectful. And funny story, I had the last line in the first scene and I couldn't get it out. I mean, I flubbed it 3 times, 4 times, and it was like 5 words, and I just couldn't get it out. And the first AD does the Marlon Brando thing, and she tapes up that portion of the script behind the lens, and she says, "Just do the Brando thing," you know. And so I finally got it, and I leaned over to him, and I said to Eric, I said, "Oh, I apologize for that." He goes, "Don't worry about it. Happens to me all the time." I said, "No, it hasn't." He was so great, and what a joy. I would love to work with him again.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Alexander, let's talk about producing. I mean, it's not an easy task, and putting something like this together has got to be like herding cats. I mean, it's just, you know, everything, you know, it keeps happening, and no day is the same. Talk to me a little bit about how you approach this as a producer.
You know, I started producing exactly 20 years ago.
Wow.
With my very first action film, Moscow Heat, which is still on Prime Video and Tubi. But I remember Moscow Heat was kind of like a university for me, because I was smart and lucky to approach it as a puzzle. And of course, you have to find the money, you have to find the team, you have to find great locations. And don't forget that in Moscow, hidden on my previous movies, I also acted. So I was basically in almost every scene. But when I was a kid, I started sport very early, and I think I have a discipline and I have a right state of mind, if you wish. And for these 20 years, I always approached producing as a dream. I never really considered the work. Of course, it's a hard work, but I mean, how many people around the world just dream about making movies, right? And they couldn't. And going back to Night of the Caregiver, it's very important to have a great team on a film, because it doesn't matter how experienced you are as a producer. If you don't have a great team, a lot of things could go wrong. Yeah. Night of the Caregiver, smooth, was all amazing, starting with a pre-production, starting with a script. And I have to give credit again. I have to give credit to Joe, who was kind of like me in my previous films, because I didn't act in that film, but Joe did. And also he helped us to finish the story, to polish the script. And he also was an executive producer. And he was the one who found that great crew, because he was the one who spoke to Sam Wilkerson, and Sam Wilkerson joined with his crew, our director of photography. And remember, Joe, it was you who found Maria Brew and her team, our makeup artist, who made that great monster and all of that. So I have to really give credit to Joe and to all our team. Yes, great cast and crew, great post-production guys. Elliot Goering, the guy who made all VFX, and his team who made color correction and all the sound and all of that. But going back to the producing again, for all your audience, for all those people who will watch us and who won't make movies, but probably afraid or whatever. You know what, guys? Bodybuilder from Russia, with still kind of broken English, can do it. You can do it too. So don't be afraid to fight for your dreams. And Joe remembers, I'm trying to push that message in every interview. And that's exactly what I did when I was promoting bodybuilding many years ago, because a lot of people are afraid to go to the gym. They're just afraid. And this is half of the work, just to show up. Same thing with filmmaking, and right now it's much easier to make your own movie, even a short movie, even a very small movie. So just don't be afraid. That's my message to your audience.
And you're absolutely right, Alexander. Just going on what he said, Joe, is we forget that movies are an escape form and are entertainment sometimes, and people expect too much out of a film where all you want to do maybe is on a Saturday night sit and get scared, eat some popcorn, and after it's all over, laugh like a roller coaster.
Yeah, well, this is what he said is so true. That theme that Alexander has been pushing as long as I've known him, and in the years prior to that. And it's so important to be positive, because it's so easy to fall into the negative trap. And just be positive, be focused, and you will achieve. And I mean,
exactly.
I'm proof of that.
In our last few moments that we have, Joe, what do you think audiences are going to take away from watching the film?
I always say this in any one of my films. Primarily, I hope they have a marvelous time. I hope they have fun. Now, granted, this film has a lot of terror in it and a lot of horror in it, but I hope they have a good time with it. And I hope they enjoy it for the unique piece that it is, because it really is very different. I tried to do something here that was classy rather than visceral and guttural, and although there are aspects of that. But I tried to have something that was classy and classic, you know. So I hope they take away from that. And let's not forget Gunfight at Rio Bravo.
Let's not forget that movie. How can we?
And my previous film, Promise, which is also everywhere on every platform. Fortunately, Alexander was not in that one.
Darn.
But maybe I'll remake it with him in it, you know.
Yeah, do the remake.
Please do, Joe. Please do.
Alexander, it is a pleasure and an honor to meet you. Your
you.
story is one of just triumph and overcoming a lot. And you know, when we learn as we go, sometimes it doesn't sink in, but you seem to be at the top of your game.
He is.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all your support. Thank you.
All right, everybody, have a great day, and I'll see you later.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye.